This episode of Rec League Pros is sponsored by Anchor. You're looking to start a podcast, unsure of how to? Anchor's the easiest way to get started, from a variety of tools that allow you to edit from your phone or computer to being able to distribute on any major platform like Apple or Spotify. Anchor has everything and anything you need. You can even start making money with advertisements with minimum listenership. That's right, minimum listenership. Doing an ad read right now. And the best part of it is this is simple, user-friendly, and it's free to use. No subscription fee, nothing. So, if you want to get started making your own podcast today, go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app to get started. Again, go to the Anchor app or download anchor.fm. Get started making your own podcast today. All right, let's roll right into it. Pros episode, I believe we're on 14 now. Again, I've kind of prolonged episodes, and I apologize for that. I'm supposed to have an episode out with me and Sarah about the Bryant Bulldogs, and for some reason that footage got deleted off my computer. Don't know how, still don't know why. So I apologize. I was supposed to get that out about a week or so ago. So tough one for sure. But I got this episode out, and this is a really more controversial podcast than I'm accustomed to. So if you guys are here for that, welcome. And if you are new here, please follow me on all my socials. Go follow us at Rec League Pros on our Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Download on all of our platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify. We're basically on all of them. So give us a listen wherever you can. So getting into it, I'm sure you guys are seeing the title, and there's a lot to unpack with this situation. So I want to preface this by I've probably recorded this episode 2 or 3 times now, and the reason I've done that is I want to make sure I'm getting my point across clear, and that I'm being respectful in the manner that I'm doing it in. I know there are going to be people that won't agree with me on what I have to say, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, and that's okay with me. I'm not gonna be hurt that you don't agree with me, but I think in this general topic, there are going to be people that have differencing of opinions. So, and that's why I think I've re-recorded this on multiple occasions, because I've kind of looped around so many times on this, and I just want to make sure that, I'm saying this in a manner that's respectful, professional, and in a manner with a takeaway where people can kind of come to terms with, okay, like, I don't agree with what he's saying, but I get where he's coming from. So, in the last several weeks, Franklin Pierce University is, which is my alma mater, has had some controversies in terms of the admissions department, strictly with our VP of admissions. I don't know her exact title. I have the screenshots, and I'll probably read those off to you guys as well too today. But she's under heavy fire. I'm also not going to name names as well too with anything I bring up, just out of the respect of the people that posted these, that I'm talking about. If you're smart enough, you'll be able to find what I'm discussing anyways, and you probably might have already seen it. I don't know what their comfortability is of me being on here and discussing what I'm about to discuss. So I'll start off with that. The second thing is I also reached out to people that are taking part in this as well too, and I guess I'll wait on that for a second. But anyways, just so I'm not looping around in circles the entire time. But the admissions department's under fire in terms of our vice president of admissions, where she has been accused of racist, homophobic, transphobic, and sexist remarks by members of the student staff, some of the faculty members, etc. I don't know the list of who exactly has accused her. That's not clear to me because I don't have the information. But I know there have been people that have alleged that she's done this. And for people that don't know, like I said, it's my alma mater. And I also was a student ambassador, tour guide, whatever the role you want to call it is, at the school for about 3 years. So I did work for the VP of Admissions. And with that being said, I'll get into it. I reached out to the people that were running this, these alleged remarks made by her that have come forward, because they are on strike currently for those remarks, being overworked and underpaid as well too. And I reached out to the person running this strike per se, and was reached out to by another individual to see if anyone wanted to come on and discuss it. I've heard no response. And that's their choice. That's fine. So if that's what they want to do, so be it. But I will continue on with what I have to say. So how I found out about this was on about a week ago at this point, because I'm recording on a Wednesday. Because, like I said, I've been recording this about 2 or 3 times now, just making sure I say the right things and get my point across the right way. I was DM'd by an individual who sent me a follow on Instagram. Didn't know who she was, but I looked at her profile. It was private, but it said she went to, Franklin Pierce, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll follow her back. And I was sent a DM by her, and I was like, huh, interesting. So I opened up the DM, and it reads, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware, but FPU admissions is on strike. Blank is under fire for racist, sexist, and homophobic remarks. I remember before I committed to FPU, you gave me a tour, and we're collecting interviews from current and past employees for statements. If you're interested, I'd love to get your take on the situation to see if this has been an ongoing issue. Please let me know. So after that had taken place, first of all, I was like, what? And because I was surprised, because I hadn't heard anything I hadn't seen anything at the time. I've also been removed from the school for a couple of years now, and um, I haven't really been keeping up to date with any of the issues taking place at the school, in terms of racism, mistreatment, discrimination, sexism, etc. So I hadn't really been paying attention. I've been busy with being an adult. Uh, working, hanging out with friends and family, just trying to be a normal person, enjoy my life. And so I was very shocked and taken aback. So I waited about a day, because I wanted to see what was actually going on. So I dug a little bit. I knew one individual that had uh, worked as a student manager, or at my time period when I was there, and um, I have another individual that I know that was a former employee who goes to grad school, that I also reached out to, that still has ties with the university. So I did some digging, and I asked some friends, and I was like, what's going on here? So uh, that was being brought up, obviously, with the racist, sexist, homophobic remarks by this individual who's the VP of admissions. Um, and I was shocked, that this was happening, and nothing was being brought to the light. And then I did some more digging, and like I said, the person that's running this posted um, something on Instagram, and this is about it's about like a 4-page post, basically stating, and I'll read it word for word. Hi, FPU. I'm currently the student manager of the admissions office here on campus. I'm posting this message in response to some of the rumors and noise heard around campus about what has been taking place at admissions. First and foremost, I'd like to say that the majority of what you have heard is true. The students and staff in FPU admissions have been treated terribly over the years by Vice President of Enrollment. Okay, so I said that title wrong. There have been many sexist, racist, homophobic, and other discriminatory remarks made by this person over the years, remarks that are flat out disgusting, been overworked and underpaid for quite some time, and have gone on strike as a result of this. The office has also seen many staff members leave the office and take jobs elsewhere. As a result of this treatment, it is embarrassing that someone who treats their employees and people in general in such an inhumane way still holds this position of power at our university. I've been meeting with the admissions office over the past couple of weeks, and also had a meeting with HR today, along with some of my fellow coworkers in the office. The response we were given to these circumstances was disappointing. The administration here is clearly not willing to take action on this matter and has given no implication of any changes to be made. Therefore, I have decided to take action with some of my fellow colleagues. I'll be collecting testimonies and statements from current students and staff at Franklin Pierce, as well as former student and staff members who have been treated this way by this person and want their story and experiences to be heard. I will then be compiling all of these together and reaching out to a local reporter or paper who is willing to share this with the public. If you or anyone you know has had an experience with this person in the admissions office or has felt discriminated by them in any way, Please reach out to me and share your story. While I understand the university may not be able to directly remove this person from their position on the remarks of a few students and staff, I'm dedicated to do whatever it takes to make the voices, I'm dedicated to do whatever it takes to make the voices of those affected by this person heard. This is what real action and change should look like. So, it's a lot to unpack there. To start out, I guess how I'll start, because is I responded to the individual that DM'd me that's taking place in this strike as well too, from what I believe, and I responded back to her. I'm not going to read my response. I'll have it screenshotted wherever I have it next to my head, because I'm about to give you my opinion on all this. But, basically I made an Instagram post on my story, and I basically stated, was reached out to by this individual, referring to the VP of admission or of student enrollment. And although I am fully against anyone making racist, sexist, homophobic remarks, being racist, showing any type of discrimination, I also can't get behind something where I haven't personally seen it take place myself. So with that being said, my background with the admissions department. So I went to Franklin Pierce from the fall of 2015 and graduated in the spring of 2019, and got my bachelor's degree there. So I was a tour guide for about 3 years. I started working there in the admissions office my sophomore year. My experience with the VP is, I didn't have a relationship with her, at all. Very minimal. I maybe spoke to her on a few occasions, not many. My kind of viewpoint on her, and like any job, she's going to focus on the student staff members that are kind of in charge, because in that office we have a student manager who kind of runs the entire show for the student staff. We have 2 head tour guides that are in charge of making sure all of our tour guides are trained and know how to give a full hour tour. And so she kind of dealt with kind of the leaders of our group per se. So I never really dealt with her much. Did I feel she made an effort to get to know me? Absolutely not. No. Did that offend me at all? No, it didn't, because it's not her job to be my friend. It's her job to employ us, make sure we're doing our job properly. I don't need, attaboys from my boss, that I'm doing a good job or not. I just don't. I don't need that type of satisfaction. Some people might, but I don't. And that's how, the harsh reality is that's how the real world works. You don't really get attaboys from your boss a whole lot. You do your job, and you may be given recognition from time to time, but it's not. They're not sitting there every day and telling you like, "Oh, attaboy, you're doing great. You're awesome." That's just not how it works. We had a faculty member who kind of ran the student admissions team that we dealt with, and in my time there were two people that worked there, and they gave they made sure that we were doing our job, that we were doing a good job. They tell us we were doing a good job. That's the people we dealt with, and that we had a relationship with per se. So with that being said, so yeah, I didn't have a relationship with the VP. It didn't bother me. You know, so that might come across as negative, but that's just the truth. But I also have no ill will towards her at all. She never did anything wrong personally to me. Um, I don't have I don't have any hate for her, or anything along that manner. Um, would I say like I was fond of her? No, I wasn't really. I didn't really care much for her, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Just what it was. I mean, I think at the same time too, you kind of want a little bit of satisfaction to at least get have someone get to know you. But with that being said, like the topic of what she's being accused for is really serious. Um, not just in terms of what's being said, but what could happen, you know, after this is per se all said and done. You know, could ruin the rest of her life, and um, that's definitely not. I don't think that's put into consideration by everyone that's in it. And I also think too that the people that really should be having this discussion have a right to per se speak on what's partaking in the office, or that's partaking in the admissions office, is, in my opinion, people that have worked there, either faculty and staff, current alumni that were tour guides, um, and worked in the office, and then the current students itself. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say, because those are the people that have had the experience in there, and the people that are on the outside, that are making their comments that they're making on social media, um, their opinion doesn't carry weight to me in this, because they don't know what really partakes in the office. They're just being told by someone. So they can have an opinion, that's fine, but it's not going to hold weight. And that's just how I feel. You can agree or disagree with it, that's fine, but that's just how I see it. So with that being said, in my 3 years there, would tell you I never saw anything in terms of discrimination, racism, and so on, at least with my own two eyes. And I'm being 100% honest. Um, by her at all, and by anyone. And I would argue as well too that at the same time, like think the moves that were made in there were the exact opposite. When I was in that office, it was one of the it was the student staff is one of the most diverse groups I had seen on the campus. Um, we had people of all different races. Um, we had um, we had people that were gay. We had people that were straight. We had individuals that were also transgender. Um, and in my personal opinion, I did not see anything with my own two eyes. Someone else could say something different, and that's fine. I never saw anything take place in terms of any discrimination whatsoever at all once, especially by that individual. Um, and to me, if she's making those types of comments, right? Because you have to remember she's been in that office for a very long time. The VP was making those types of comments. We wouldn't have had the type of staff I think we had in that office in my time frame, and B, if she was making those comments in my time frame as well too, she probably would have already been fired by now. Now people can change over time. That's for certain. I don't argue that at all. But I didn't see any. I did not see anything take place in terms of racism, sexism, discrimination, etc. I'll agree on the standpoint of their other reasoning for being on strike, maybe being overworked and underpaid. I can agree to that with an extent. It's a very demanding job. They ask a lot of you. There are times you got to work. You got to work on Saturdays. For half the day. You have to work open houses all day, and that's from 6 to 4, sometimes 5. You have to do this one's more optional, but they kind of push you to do it in a sense. They want you to do the overnight programs where students are kind of partnered up with a prospective student that wants to come to the school, and they do a bunch of activities and stay the night in one of the on-campus dorms or apartments, whatever it may be. And they do that, and that's demanding because a lot of the times those overnight programs are during the week. So you kind of have to fit it around your class schedule, which can be difficult. So there's a lot to unpack there, and it's a very demanding job. But I think at the same time too, with that being said, that job is as demanding as it is. It's one of the more privileged jobs there is in terms of they don't just pick anyone to be in there. You kind of have to prove yourself in order to get in there. You have to be moderately social. You have to be able to speak in front of people. You have to be presentable to the public, because in a lot of ways, you're sales rep for the school, and you have to sell people on the campus, on the programs that are being offered, and everything. So you have to be good at doing that, and you have to be able to talk to people. And if you can't do that, then you're not going to get a job in there. That's just as simple as it is. Now, you might be able to work in the office, but there's only so many jobs in the office helping out with applications. So but I do agree. It's a very demanding job, but it's also a privilege to be in there as well too. Um, so kind of breaking down, I'm going to take a sip of water. Hold on. Apologize. So kind of breaking down um, everything that's partaking place with this. So after reading, the current student manager's post about what's going on, um, I applaud him for trying to keep this under wraps, for, you know, a time being, to kind of keep this private. And obviously, he didn't like what the school did in terms of action. So he took matters into his own hands. I applaud him for that. The only thing I'd question in terms of what he said is, he wants, if I can find how, you know, I've decided to take action with some of my fellow colleagues. I'll be collecting testimonies and statements from current students and staff at Franklin Pierce, as well as former student and staff members who've been treated this way by this person and want their story and experiences to be heard. I'll then be compiling all these together and reaching out to a local reporter or paper who is willing to share this with the public. So with the way he worded that to me, from the meetings he's already had, because like I said, there's two issues that are going on in the statement he's made: being overworked and underpaid, and the VP of admissions making discriminatory remarks. I don't know why that was so hard to say, but to me, I think the basis of the argument started with them being overworked and underpaid. And I think his mission was to try and figure out a way where, they get a raise in wages for the admissions office, for the students. And I think he didn't get what he wanted in that term. And I think that's what maybe it sparked this entire thing. I don't know. I don't know where his head's at, and I don't know where the student staff's head's at. But from my interpretation of that, that would look like that's the basis of the issue. The headline of it, though, is the VP making those type of remarks. And I don't support any type of racism or sexism, but I've also never experienced her saying that. I can probably attest to a lot of people that I know that have worked in that office that would probably say the same thing. And they've had different relationships with her than I have, where they've maybe had closer ties to her. And I've spoken to a few people about it, and they're as shocked as I am that that would be such a thing. So, I kind of I wonder if there are really racist and sexist remarks being made, what was actually said and what was presented to the school on what the remarks were said. Because if there was actual evidence that were backing up their claim, then I would think the school would take immediate action. And, just my personal opinion. Because, with the day and age we're in right now, we're trying to push equality. We're trying to end racism and take a leap forward. um, I would think the university would be like, yeah, like, you know, there's concrete evidence here. Like, we we need to take action on this. So I wonder what was actually given for, statements and evidence. And clearly it wasn't anything from my interpretation, by the way, of this. Clearly there wasn't enough substantial evidence to prove that she has made any of those remarks either. And I think that's maybe something that is also making them upset, because he wouldn't they wouldn't have started out the post like that. Um, and I'm not saying that he's lying or being dishonest or anything, but I just wondered what the actual comments were. And that's why I wanted, to have someone on this podcast. And I did reach out. And I have the evidence to show. I reached out. I made my Instagram story post on a Friday. I also made a note, if anyone doesn't agree with what I have to say, um, you know, let's chat on my podcast, because I will be talking about this. The individual that DM'd me told me to reach out to the person that made the student manager that made this post, and I did. And from my standpoint, from what I was given for information, he seemed interested, and I reached out to him, and I hadn't heard anything. And I thought, I sent it to him on a Friday. People are still on spring break. So, okay, like, yeah, I get it. Probably busy, not really checking their phone. And it's not even Tuesday. It's not even Wednesday. It's a Tuesday now. So school's back in session at this point, and I still haven't heard anything. So, the other part of that's interesting is they're collecting testimonies and statements from current and former students and staff, and they're going to go to a local reporter paper. And to me, it's like the demographic of that is only to a select few people. Only the town's going to see it. If they really wanted to take action, I would have thought they would have responded to my podcast. Now, I don't get thousands of views on here. I know that. But this is on a public platform. This is on Apple. This is on Spotify. This is on YouTube. So you would think, oh, this kid has a YouTube channel. He reached out to me, inviting me onto his podcast. This is my opportunity to pounce and say what I want to say. And they didn't take action like, they said they would. So I wonder who they're getting testimonies from too, because, my testimony was basically kind of what I reiterated, where I said, I don't condone anyone who's made racist, sexist remarks, and I don't think that should ever be tolerated. But at the same time too, I can't get behind a movement like that unless I've seen it with my own eyes and there's evidence to back up a claim like that. And I've only seen these posts about alleged racism and sexism about this individual. I haven't seen anyone say anything specifically of what has actually been said. I've read comments on on posts, and I've read things along the lines of like, we're students and we pay their salaries, like they work for us. And they didn't even bother to know. She didn't even bother to know what my name was. Things of that manner. First of all, like if you're really that bothered about someone not knowing your name, then you know it's not her job to know every student in there. It's not. Um, is she does she take a part in hiring some of these people? Yeah, to a degree. She leaves that in charge to the individual that kind of runs the student admissions piece of the admissions office, but that's kind of out. She doesn't really generally revolve around that. No. Um, so I'm sure she didn't even know my name, and I'm not offended by that at all. Her job is making sure they can bring in as many students as they can per year, making sure we get a healthy amount of applicants. And from my standpoint, she did a pretty good job at making a push to getting as many applicants as possible over the time frame I was there. I know after my freshman year, um, they had the following group of graduates. That was the biggest graduating class they'd had in God knows how long. I think that's the most incoming students they ever had in like school history. So you know, she's doing something right with the job, and that's really her focus. And I don't really take offense to if she doesn't know my name or other people's name. I would take more offense to the individuals that I speak with directly, that I you know kind of call to, that don't know my name per se. But I'm not really offended by her knowing my name. There are counselors in there that didn't necessarily know my name either. And again, that was totally fine with me. I wasn't offended by that at all. So, there's that. And then, I saw the thing with, we pay their salaries, we pay money to go to that school, yada, yada. Yeah, we do pay money to go to that school, but we also pay to go to that school by choice too. We choose to go to that school. We are not forced to go to that school. Until we put money down on it, we're not forced to do anything. We apply, we get accepted, we get scholarship packages, academics. Some people get athletic scholarships there, but we're not forced to go to the school. So, that's kind of a hypocritical way of looking at that, because you don't have to go to that school. And if you go to any college, you pay to go to that school by choice anyways. So if you want to have to pay to go to school, then choose a different profession. You know, go, there's plenty of jobs that you can make a lot of money in, that and have a decent life, decent living, where you don't have to do that. The high schools do vocational classes. There's apprenticeship programs outside of you graduating high school that a lot of places do. There's trade school, where they pay for you to go to school. I mean, there's endless possibilities. So I don't think that's a good argument to be used either. So, and like I said, these are comments that I've seen that stood out to me, where I was like, this isn't really an argument. So I've also had people reach out to me that are former students and so on, that are like, is this real? What happened? And so on. And I couldn't give them. I can only give them as much information as I've been given. So, um, and a lot of people were shocked as I was. Um, so, again, I haven't necessarily seen racism, sexism either, and that's a serious allegation as well too, to be accused of. Period. So to me, it's like, you if you're making that type of statement, like, you better have something to back it up with as well too. And to me, that that argument is almost losing per se, because you're asking any former and current student and staff member, you're reaching out to them at, like, almost in a sense, digging for dirt. So to me, it's like you're almost losing, because there are going to be people that may have an opinion on her where they don't like her for whatever reason, because she wasn't this warm and giddy person, and they make a response. They're not going to be as neutral as I am, where I don't have a relationship with the individual. I wasn't, the most fond of her. I didn't think she was this warm, friendly person, but I also didn't have anything against her. Didn't think she was racist. Some people might not be as neutral as I am either, but they might find someone that's like, yeah, that someone said this to me as well too. But it's almost looking like they're losing in that manner. So I see it that way. I don't think they're as serious as they think they are in terms of going to a local reporter, paper, etc. Because if they were real serious, they'd want to put this out publicly to young generations as quickly as possible. Because this thing, what you're seeing this on, this is anyone can see this in the world. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not taking this down. If you want to take if YouTube or anyone wants to take this down, it's going to be because they took it down, not me. That's for sure. So, you know, there there's that there's a lot to, like, uncover. And I don't have all the facts. There's not a lot of facts that are out there to begin with, because I don't go to the school anymore. I graduated, so I don't know what's taking place on campus currently. Um, I don't know what's happening in the admissions office. I've been so far removed from the school itself that, I was completely shocked that this was taking place to begin with. Um, and I think another thing too that I think people really need to think about is, um, everyone that came to that school came there for a reason, right? There was something that was there that made them want to go. Um, Athletics is something that, you know, is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. People want to play a collegiate sport and call it in college, whether it's baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, whatever it may be. People want to go there, maybe to play a sport, and they get an athletic scholarship, or, walk onto a team. Um, like I did, I walked onto a tennis team there, for my first couple years. And then, uh, you know, some people go there because, they have a specific program for them. But there's always a little bit more to it um, than just an academic program and so on. They have to feel a level of comfort in order to pick a school, because it's a serious decision for the next 4 years of your life, to be like, you know, I can see myself being here for 4 years. Now, people transfer in and out. That happens all the time. But when you initially make that decision and you go there, like, there's a reason why you wanted to go there. And to me, the reason why I went there was the camaraderie. I mean, like, the majority of my close friends at this point are all are all my college roommates um, from my junior and senior year. I talk to them almost every day, um, and you know those are like that core group is really some of the closest individuals I talk to outside of my family. So there's some type of camaraderie that makes people feel comfortable with going there. It's a beautiful campus as well too, in terms of it being a rural area. There's Pearly Pond there. You know, there's in the wintertime, there's, nearby places to go skiing. Um, that fall time, people go out, go kayaking, hang out, hang out by the pond. I know they did some updates now where they kind of got like a nice little lawn patio thing over by Pearly now too, by the boathouse. I've seen people go sailboating. I've seen people play pond hockey in the wintertime out on Pearly. I mean, there's the bubble to go do stuff, and just hanging out on the campus and in the dorm rooms with your friends, and obviously, unpopular opinion by the by the university itself, but partying takes place, friends. People do drink there, so that's another aspect as well too, where people are hanging out and having a good time. So, yeah, I think the whole you know paying to you know paying college professors and faculty salary, that's like such a backhanded compliment towards like faculty members too, because you know they're the ones teaching you as well too, and you have to put in time and effort, and if you're also not doing that, then like you're wasting your money as well too. So I don't know, I didn't think those comments were needed at all, but yeah, I think it's a crazy set of circumstances that are taking place. It's a lot of wild allegations, and I'm not saying what's being done with this strike isn't true or false or a lie or anything, but I think from the interpretations I've read, it's like people wouldn't be reaching out if they didn't have enough off the bat to begin with. And they're really digging deep right now looking for something. And I don't know what they found. They might have found something. I don't know. And if they were as honest as they want to be coming forward to a local paper reporter, why not just put it on the internet? That's what I would do. If you have a you don't have to do it to a paper. Put it on a you use this sucker, record yourself, put it on YouTube. Or you could have come on here and had a conversation with me, but no one wanted to reach out to me. So some of these people might see this and they might want to reach out and be like, "Hey, I have something to say," and I'll be open to it. But I I already reached out to people once, and I didn't get a response back. So we we do this, and you want to actually come on, like reach out to me, and we'll figure out a time on my terms, and we have a chat in a respectful manner as well too. Because I'm more than happy to be enlightened and listen to what's what's taking place, what I'm missing, what these allegations might be, what's going wrong with the office and the campus, what needs to be changed. I'm more than happy to listen, but there's not a lot that's being presented as of right now, and this was made public March 9th, so it's been a couple weeks now. So, and I only found out about this on Thursday. So, um, crazy times. But I think I think I'm okay with the way I've said this. I don't think I've said anything that's disrespectful to anyone. Um, that's demeaning. I just don't necessarily agree with. I think the actions taking place is there's something that's not being said in terms of what's already been presented in with this strike. So if anyone has information or is taking part in this that actually wants to have a conversation about it and hop on here, more than happy to. It'll be on my terms in terms of time and my schedule, because I've already given an opportunity out where I could have made this work. But I I do have a life, but I do want to get this out and at least give my thoughts on it. Considering I am an alumni, I did work in that office. I did know the VP of Student Enrollment. I think I'm saying that position correctly. Um, I did know the type of people that were in that office. So, um, I'm more than happy to listen. But I guess the last thing I'll close on is, with that being said, serious allegations, you know, serious inquiries about being overworked, underpaid. But um, if you're not getting what you want, and how do I word this without how do I word this without not coming off in a way I don't want to come off? I'm really thinking about. I want to word this properly. I guess think about the image of the school at the end of the day, because coming back to what I said, there's a reason why everyone came to this school, right? Um, and I think I got off track with what I was saying with that, and that's when I wanted to tie this in. So, do you remember? There's a reason why everyone came to the school. Um, with this being said and made so public, like, make sure that you're making the change you're making is positive and not a benefit to just get rid of someone. Because people are going to see that this is taking place and be like, well, I don't want my kid going there if this school's doing all this and there's so much turmoil. Because because people have degrees here, man, and when a school's gone, and then you tell people you have a degree from a school that doesn't exist anymore is kind of a tough thing to have to reiterate, it, to the real world, to people. So I'm not saying that's like that's not a cause for stopping your strike, but taking in consideration of like people maybe being turned away by the school for these types of allegations and actions and so on. So unless you have evidence to back it up and it's sincere, um, just be, just be, just have a long look at what the outcomes could be to this. And then in terms of the VP being fired, if these do end up being true and there's evidence to back up the claim, do I think there should be consequences? Absolutely. Is firing the right option? I don't know. I personally I don't have the answer for that. If I had to be bluntly honest, um, I think firing the individual is not going to have her learn her lesson per se. If anything, it's just going to make her more upset and more angry and probably continue her demeanor towards people that she's making these comments towards to begin with, and maybe even make them worse at this point. Because you basically embarrassed her in a public form. Um, you got her fired from a job. You know, I don't, they won't be remorseful for that. They're going to hold a grudge. And how do you really necessarily give a set of consequences then to someone that's doing something like that? To me, I think an option, and this may not be the right way to do it. I don't know. Um, get them in a situation where they have to do some type of community service that puts them in a situation of helping, you know, you know, you know, poverty areas, you know, places of minorities that are, struggling, academic wise, making her do some type of community service that makes her realize, like, oh, these are people that are struggling, like, in, that all they want to do is just better themselves and better their families. um I think that's an honest way of doing it, because it gives them realization. So, and that's just me. I'm not saying that's the right or wrong answer, but I think just outright firing someone is never going to solve an answer. Um, should she keep her job per se? Um, I think she should have to prove within that she's reached a certain amount of community service hours, that she's had to do this, and she starts maybe from the ground up, taking a demotion. I think that's something fair. She gets to have a job still, but doesn't get to keep that same role. If she wants that role back, she has to earn it. Um, so, yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say. But, you know, everyone else is everyone else got their own opinion. So, I'll leave it at that. But I know this one's definitely a topic that people are going to either agree or disagree with me on, and that's fine. Um, it it's not going to bother me. If you have a difference of opinions, I respect it. Everyone's entitled to have an opinion. Um, so I don't fault anyone for not agreeing with what I have to say. It's totally fine. It's not gonna offend me. It's not gonna upset me. I'm not gonna lash out at you. I'm not gonna give you a reaction. Um, but if you want to have, anyone that's tied into this that doesn't agree with me and is upset about it and wants to talk about it, here I am. We'll talk about it We can talk about it publicly, and let's see if you really want to put your money where your mouth is. And I'm fine with that. Um, but I'm not going to get offended. I'm not going to give you a reaction. But if you want to get your opinion out, then we'll talk about it for sure. Absolutely, I'm more than happy to do so. But I'll close it out there. Again, thank you guys for listening. I know it's a tough one. Again, I thank you guys for listening to the end. I know it's a lot of me spieling. I still kind of went in circles in some directions, for sure. I hope I got my viewpoint out clearly. enough for you kind of to understand where I'm at. And, you know, hopefully the right steps are made to, you know, move forward with this situation on either standpoint of it, either agreeing or disagreeing with it. Hopefully there's some way where a group of us can kind of come together and find a solution. I think that's the best route for everyone. But thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you guys back soon. Hopefully I'll get another episode out in, you know, more than a month or two. So, all right, take care.